Previously on the podcast, we have interviewed 5 of the top competitors from the Cash Game World Championship across 3 episodes. Now, the players are giving us an exclusive breakdown of some of the craziest hands that they have played during the challenge. In this video, Venator shows why he was considered to be one of the most aggressive players in the field. Across 5 hands, we will see what many call the bluff of the championship, several other extremely creative bluffs, and for the final hands, it's guest versus guest, Sherry Sweet versus Venator get involved in a 400 BB 3-bet pot. Who got the better? We'll find out. You open 5s under the gun.
Okay.
Get a call.
This flop, I think I would generally play something like half for check. We'll see what I do in game here. I'll go with half.
Half seems fine. Pocket 5s. Check. Ever want to get funky with this hand, or?
I don't think it's the best turn barrel blocking 5-7, ace-5 type of hands. Seems to block folds. Yeah, I would maybe want to bet more with the heart blocking combo draws.
We check. This is where things get interesting. We have a blocky.
Yeah, so I remember in game he actually like sort of snap blocked the river like within 5 or 10 seconds. So to me, I felt like he very often just has a rivered 6 or a 9, because if he has or potentially a bluff, if he has a stronger hand than that, I think he would want to consider the way to get the most money as possible in the pot. And so that would either be by check raise or maybe overbetting himself, or maybe even going for block 3-bet, but he would need more than 5 or 10 seconds to evaluate all those, I thought, with a very strong hand. So I went for raise with this hand against his rivered 6x. He somewhat quickly went for the 3-bet.
So how do you now interpret that? Do you feel like, oh, well, maybe my initial read was correct, or you stick to your read?
I was pretty confident in my initial read, because in these river spots, the snap blocks are so rarely nutted hands. So after seeing this, I was still pretty confident in my read that he's going to have a lot of rivered 6x, maybe some 9x, and then a lot of those hands are going to look like pretty appealing bet 3-bet bluffs. Like if he has 6-7, 6-deuce, 6-5, even something like 9-5, 9-7, maybe just decides to do this. So yeah, I blocked the nuts here and was pretty sure he's bluffing rivered 6x, so I just shipped it in. Not really repping much at all on my end, but if you think they only have a bluff, then I think you can just go ahead and put it on.
I was gonna say, I think I heard Owen commenting on the hand, and like the first thing he said is, "What is he repping though?" Like, but in your analysis, it's just you're very decided on, well, he doesn't have it. Who cares what I have?
Yeah, I mean his value here is like he check calls against half on the flop. The set's almost always raise. He can turn some king 9, but I don't even know if it goes in this size, and then he can have some pocket 6s, but again, like it's just so hard to put these in the snap block on river. Yeah, especially like when 8 tabling or something. It's just, I felt like too big of a timing tell on river.
He folded, and he did have the 6-7, right? If I'm correct.
I'm not sure what he had.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had the 6-7, because from what I understood, you didn't submit this hand for hand of the week, but Tugay for you, he submitted the hand for you. He said this guy deserved the hand of the week, and he had 6-7. I'm pretty sure. So your read was spot on.
After this hand, I had to make a note not to bluff against this guy for a while.
Yeah, that indeed seems like a good idea. We're in anti territory now. We have ace queen off in the small blind.
Yeah, here I just mix 3-betting call. I think I tend to mainly call.
Yeah, especially the deep stack here. Not go too crazy with the ace queen off. We check. We face a pot bet.
Yeah, so already on flop, he's starting to polarize to something like ace jack plus, maybe ace 10 plus on bluffs. So yeah, clear call with ace queen, but yeah, not super thrilled.
5. 2x. What's your thoughts here? This is, I think this is right, the first real decision point.
Yeah, 2x here is a bit over 2e. It's 200%, leaving like 120% river or so. Yeah, my hand already is a bluff catcher on turn. Maybe he can have ace queen as well in this size, but it's already a bluff catcher. I could see some ace queen folding in theory on turn, maybe with the queen of diamonds more often. But yeah, I had a note that this player is quite aggressive, and I thought I could potentially even chop with some of his ace queen at this point, so I didn't think I could fold just yet.
Yeah, I think the chopping, always when you can think of a chop, it's always, it's little extra incentive to throw the money. In terms of the 5 turn, any concerns here in terms of like obviously his primary bluffs could have improved. Think like pocket 3s. So I guess the bluffing range would have a bit more equity. I don't think his hand would normally bluff. Don't really think it's going to be more like 3s and 4s. 5,
yeah,
4.
I agree. I think he wants some lower cards to bluff here, or maybe some like queen of diamonds, jack for diamond rivers. But yeah, the 5 is a brick for his value range at least. Like he shouldn't have ace 5. He could maybe have like 5s with a diamond. But yeah, he should have 3s and 4s a lot. I agree.
I think like this 5 is pretty interesting because let's say, for example, on a 6, 3s and 4s, it should still be part of the barreling range. But I feel like people just always find them on a 5. Right. So you could say, okay, now they're always doing it, but in the same time, it did also give them more equity. So the barreling range now contains more equity than, for example, on a 6. So I find that always interesting debate. Okay, what's better, the 5 turn or the 6 turn? Like on one side, he will now always barrel his 3s and 4s. We're pretty sure of that, but they also now have more equity, which is a reason why they barreled more. So we call. River is a king.
Yeah. So I went for a very small lead here, 10%. Just with the hands you mentioned in mind, the 3s and 4s. The king on the king river, I don't really arrive unpaired ever, or really with a hand worse than 3s or 4s. It's not like I river much, if any, king X, but it's more just my range lacking air or close to air with pocket 3s and 4s, and his range having some of those hands. So it allows me to squeak out a tiny bit of value with a hand like this against his underpairs. It sort of puts his 3s and 4s in a tough spot, and maybe lets me get the occasional cheap bluff through with something like queen jack of diamonds or something.
Yeah, I like your thought process here. We face a jam.
Yeah, so at this point, I clearly have a bluff catcher. His value range, I think, is just full houses. I mean, maybe if he's going super thin, he can also have ace queen, but I would think it's just full houses only. So he should have 4 combos ace king, 3 combos pocket 2s, and maybe give him 1.5 pocket 5s. So it's just a very narrow value range, and I think it's too tempting when he gets to river with a hand like, jack 10, queen jack type hands to just surrender or call. Folding to 1/10 pot is very hard psychologically. So I feel like in these spots, people tend to just send it when they get to river with jack high or queen high, and the value range is quite narrow. So I just press call.
So confirmed he got induced.
Maybe. I mean, I wasn't thrilled about this spot at all, but happened to be right here.
Do make the call. And he indeed shows up with the jack 10, and you scoop a nice little pot. Well played. Next hand, we have jack 8 suited on the button. Stefan opens. Button,
Yeah.
white, anti-game, 2.5x. What kind of your strategy here?
Yeah, an anti, I think I'm going to VPip like jack 7 suited plus and just mix 3 bets and calls with this hand. We're very deep as well, and I wanted to get in there against Stefan, so I'd probably just 3-bet this one every time.
Wanted to get in there versus Stefan. I like it. You get a call.
I went with range quarter this flop. I'm not sure at 200. Maybe maybe a bigger sizing is appropriate. He should be flatting some queens and jacks at 200, so he's not super unprotected on this board. But one good thing is with ante is I can have king 10 off and he can't. So I think range betting is fine for a quarter.
Yeah, and I feel like if it's quote not a range bet, it's not necessarily that if you do range bet, now suddenly Stefan can go crazy, right? Like you have some of these boards where you really cannot range bet because he just connects too well. And then there's some boards that you could possibly range bet, but it's actually not really preferred. But it's more because, yeah, the EV of checking and inducing some things are just different. But this board, yeah, I don't really see anything going wrong if you range bet, for example. So he makes the call. Turn is the ace. No donk. Something that you take in consideration here? I guess you could maybe donk sometimes.
I mean, Stefan has donks everywhere.
I was going to say he has donks everywhere.
So yeah, you never know, but I don't think any donks in theory would make sense. And then my end, I didn't barrel. I thought blocks too many folds with the king jacks and jack tens and potentially jack nine. So yeah, I just went with check. I think it would be better to barrel like sixes or something like that.
I agree.
Or king X.
River 7. You get the discount over bet, so not 300, but the discount 295.
Yeah, so I thought here Stefan could be going as thin as any ace-x. He likes to go very thin in this sort of line. So assuming he's taking like hands like ace-8 suited, ace-9 suited, ace-10 suited, ace-5 suited, there are actually quite a few targets to get folds from if I jam here, and I would check the turn with a decent chunk of my full houses, the ones that block too much of his continuing range. His most common full houses will be ace queen and ace jack. I think he will have ace jack off and ante. The solver bluff here will probably be queen jack, just blocking even more full houses. But I thought my line would get a ton of credibility from Stefan. He hadn't been hero calling many rivers at all against me, surprisingly, at this point. So yeah, I just went for it with the jack, removing some of the ace jacks and hoping that my read was right, that he's going much too thin in this overbet size.
So now the question is, how fast did he fold it? Because if he snap folded, he probably didn't have an ace.
I think he tanked a little bit and folded. So yeah,
possibly confirming your read.
Yeah, could have been a hand like ace-8, ace-9, but who knows?
Are you grinding hard, studying solvers, reviewing hands, but still not getting those results that you know you're capable of? You're putting in the time and effort, but without clear direction, that effort does not pay off. That is why I created the Mechanics Leakbuster program, which is the exact system I use to make over 7 figures playing online poker, and have since taught to hundreds of students so they could do the same. Through our Leak Finder stats and pop-ups, you will gain clarity on your biggest leaks and tendencies, insights on how your strategies have been performing in-game, and the impact variance has had on your results. But knowing your stats is only the beginning. In the program, we dig deep into the root causes behind your leaks and tendencies and use a proven 7-step system to fix them for good and gain the skills to improve and continuously evolve as a poker player. You'll study more effectively, overcome leaks and tendencies that felt impossible to break, and rebuild trust and confidence in your game, finally seeing your hard work pay off as you move up the stakes. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start improving with clarity, break through the patterns that have been holding you back, and take your game to the next level, join the Mechanics Leakbuster program using the link down below. And for the first month of enrollment only, you will get access to weekly group coaching calls with me and get a chance to win a one-on-one coaching session in which I personally review your game. So don't miss out on this limited opportunity. Join the Mechanics Leakbuster program using the link down below, and looking forward to seeing you guys in there. I have this hand. This one I was actually sent in by Kike.
Yeah, this open with ante seems marginal. Yeah, probably okay-ish. Definitely from cutoff definitely not from low jack, but from hijack potentially. I range bet 1BB.
He calls. So, a lot of hearts out there, and we have 2 green cards. What's your plan?
I think my hand is a decent bet. You just want to unblock the 5x and 7x. Those are the main folds, and also some queen x. When he doesn't check raise flop, it's going to remove a decent chunk of his ace of hearts combos, and I'm range betting flop, so I still have all of them, and I think I want to play a polar turn strategy just around the nuts.
So that means we're going to go big?
Yep, I would think so, but okay.
So that's...
Go very big.
So this is, I guess you mainly want to go this big because of your read that if he just has ace of heart X, the majority of people would just be like, oh, you face a min bet, oh, I can just check raise right here. Compared to solver who would want to have enough balanced a6 of hearts in the check call line to basically prevent this from happening.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think people will definitely call naked ace of hearts X some to min bet, but it is very tempting to check raise on flop. And yeah, I just sort of thought that this was the turn strategy, but it could be wrong this deep. Maybe you can't polarize turn this much. I'm not quite sure. But in game,
I think it really depends on your on that read that you mentioned, right? Obviously, if we remove the ace-x of hearts from his range, the bigger we're gonna go. So
right.
He does now make the call.
Yeah.
How do you then interpret this? Right, we went very big. Maybe also, is there something in timing here? How fast someone calls? Do you take that in consideration? You mentioned timing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I can't quite remember his timing in game, but here I would definitely be paying attention. I mean, any hand that's not the nuts is going to have to think for quite some time, so any sort of call on the faster side would be quite scary. But I think in this spot, at least people will realize that and not like snap call or something with the nuts. So
yeah, this is maybe also a good tip for the audience, or how I like to approach it. I look at the situation, and based on how difficult I think the situation is for your range, that's basically what I depend my timing on. So if I just think, oh, this is tough for my range, I try to, take longer. And if it's just this is an easy spot for my range, I'm usually just going to make a fast decision. So we get the call. River is the biggest brick in the deck. How strong are you still from your read? He doesn't have the ace of hearts after he calls the turn.
Definitely, not positive, but yeah, he arrives to the river with sets, and then 10 of hearts X, jack of hearts X, ace of hearts X, and some 2 pairs potentially. So there's still a huge chunk of his range that's going to be bluff catching against all in, and I unblock all the folds. I have a ton of ace of hearts combos that are worth all in here. So yeah, this time I just went for it and hoped to fade the snap call.
I also feel like, because people, if you think about spots where people naturally find bluffs, it's usually blockers to the nuts, right? So let's say there was only 3 hearts, people will find a bluff with the ace of hearts, for example. But I do feel like also tripling off here, because it should be around unblockers and not blockers due to kind of the nature of the spot. I feel like you're a bit protected on average, right? People will find this less bluffy because there is not really the good bluff for you is a bit harder to find, if that makes sense. So from that perspective, I definitely really like it. It's quite a big bet. He ended up calling with probably one of the hands you were targeting to fold, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, I think his hand is a pretty reasonable call. I mean, it's definitely better to call with 2 hearts compared to just 1. Like if he has jack of spades, 10 of hearts, that would be a much worse call, just blocking more bluffs. But yeah, hats off to him for a good call. I think probably
do not bluff note.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the hands where you just put it in, and if you see this, then you have to make some adjustments. But yeah, I think reasonable hand from him. Not sure about my line. The 4 flushes are always kind of hard for me, but
yeah. They are hard. But I feel like if you would just grab data of the world of poker and you would say bet, over bet 3x pot on a board like that, I think an average bluff frequency, I don't know, I would guess lower than 15% probably. So I feel like you're probably quite protected here. I don't know how your image was rolling at this time, but
Yeah,
not
probably
taking
not
that into
great.
consideration. I think on average when I see someone go triple here, like I call the turn with the set, hoping to improve because I feel like
Right.
he has to not flush. And when they jam, I snap fold.
Right. I think there are even some players who might just fold the turn with his hand, but yeah, it's it seems pretty
That's
reasonable.
actually that's actually a good point because I would much rather call, like, especially versus the size, right? I would much rather call king 7 or king queen or
Right,
something that
something
at
like
least can
that
improve
improve.
against the nuts. Maybe there already he took in consideration the fact that he has 2 hearts instead of 1, right? What you already mentioned. It's better to have this.
Oh, this guy got me good here.
Yeah.
Hats off to Sherry for this hand.
So button opens. We threw it from the small blinds. On the bigger side, we're a bit deeper. Ace 5 suited seems standard so far. Get a call.
Yep.
5-4-7.
We're almost 200 blinds deep to start, so have to be even more passive on this board than normal. 3 low cards connected and flush draw. I won't have the sets very high frequency at all. Maybe have a little bit of 6-8 suited, but yeah, just not a great board for me at all. Gonna do a ton of checking.
You step small.
Yeah, I think
guess
call
very
is,
often.
yeah, I expect a small stab a lot from in position here with range, and then I think my hand's only a call, maybe some trace amount of raising, but
What would your raising strategy here look like this deep on a board that is favorable? I feel like a lot of players, they see, okay, favorable board, so they kind of go in defensive mode, but would you still, like roughly top of your head, would you still reach like what type of frequency you think here in raisings, and what would your sizing be?
I think all of the overpairs can mix some amount of raising and calling. Same with the flush draws. Same with, hands like 6-7, 5-6. Even a hand like King 8 of spades or something. I'm not sure of exact frequency. 200 blinds deep, maybe something like 20% ish. But yeah, I think you have to be more cautious, but still you can check raise a hand like queens, to like 150, 175 ish.
Yeah, sizing here is pretty interesting as well. Like I was thinking that I feel like I'm winging it here. I don't know. I feel like either 125 or like 200, something along those lines. Like I see benefits in but maybe the board's a little bit too scary, and we're maybe a little bit too deep. Yeah, the question is, do you overplay it if you go like 200? Obviously, you would prefer to create like a smaller SPR, right? So that basically you can end the hand. But usually, if that's no longer an option because you're either too deep or the board is just too good for him, then the strategy can switch to like something smaller. So I'm actually not really sure what would be nicer. But this hand, I think, we don't really do anything else. Then call, I would imagine.
Turn jack, I think, is probably better for him. I don't check call the flop with much jack X at all, just diamonds or like ace jack with the diamonds, maybe. Maybe some jack 8 suited, but yeah, jack seems quite good for him. A lot of his bluffs improve, and I don't improve very often.
Face this, was this 60%?
Yeah, so here I need to be folding all of my unpaired hands, obviously, all of the ace queens and ace kings with the diamonds, king queen with the diamonds, ace 10 spades, all of those sorts of hands. This hand seems quite indifferent on turn. It removes some of his value and shouldn't block too many bluffs and can also improve against his value. And I think generally this spot is overbarreled by in position in this sort of texture. But yeah, don't feel too strongly either way on the turn. I could see just pitching it being better.
Yeah, if like flop, I think we can expect a high stabbing frequency, right? And the jack, I think again, indeed, we can again expect quite a high frequency. So if your hand is already close, I wouldn't mind leaning a bit more to call. So I like your call here. River is another jack, which I guess is good news. We now win against 5-4, and we face jam.
Yeah, so again, not a very fun spot. If we think about my range that arrives to river, I didn't check raise flop or turn, so a lot of overpairs will be removed. I still will have some. Aces will probably be the main trap. I could have some trace amount of sevens, and then I can have a little sprinkle of jack X here and there, but I don't have a ton of good hands in this node, and for value he has all of the sets, all of the jack X, and then if he's a great player, like seems he was, he can go as thin as maybe ace 7 or pocket eights. Just realizing that I'm gonna have hands like 5-6, 7-6, ace 5, ace 4, king 7, 7-8, ace queen of diamonds, ace king of diamonds. So there's quite a bit to target with a hand like eights, and I'm gonna have hands that kind of look like good bluff catchers, like ace 5 and ace 4 and 5-6 and 7-6. So I don't really see him bluffing with the ace of hearts unless it's like ace 3, ace 2 of hearts potentially. But I would think those aren't the best turn barrels. Not sure. But yeah, I think I have to end up calling some hands like this, or else I just don't hit the calling frequency on the river. So I decided to call this time.
Yeah, I like your thoughts here. We talked this earlier, right? About not overweighting on blockers. However, this is a 3-bet pot. We're in a bet line. We probably don't play with that many combos. But then I do think it starts to matter if you have probably the best unblockers and arguably one of the better blockers, right? Blocking pocket fives. And on a board where people can find the bluffs, right? You showed passivity, it's a low board. Like it's easy to find king, queen on both streets, for example, just throwing it out there, or like a random queen 10. Would you maybe call this hand over like something like pocket nines?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think pocket nines is maybe the worst bluff catcher you could get here with just, removing all the 10-9 and 8-9 combos, and even something like queen 9 could just barrel it off here. So yeah, I think nines would remove a shitload of bluffs. But yeah, like you said, blockers I think are typically not important, but this spot gets kind of narrow on river, so I think they're important to consider.
You did flick in the call, and he decided to show up with pocket eights. Would have been an interesting hand if you folded nines and he showed.
It's a merge. I mean, it's a merge almost on river. He folds me off nines and tens potentially, and gets called by ace 5, ace 4. So yeah, great find from Sherry.
Realistically, who value jams eights? Nobody, right? So I think like logically he's just gonna think I'd rather call ace 5 than nines. And
great hand. I think I completely agree with your hand. Curious for the thoughts of Sherry's pocket eights. Maybe he just thought I'm going thin for value versus you, or indeed there was some merging going on. If there was some merging going on, this next level stuff. You need to find it. Find it in your A game. I don't think it's very frequent that people find it. I would definitely have played your hand the same. So I want to thank you, man, for sharing wisdom and all these great hands that you played. I'm sure the audience learned a lot in general. Thank you a lot for coming on and sharing your story. Definitely think you're one of the tougher players in the challenge.
Yeah, thanks so much, Renee. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I've been a big fan of the podcast for a long time now. Gotten a lot out of it, so hopefully was able to give something back here to the audience.
What a privilege to get an exclusive first-hand breakdown. If you want to reach his level and make these plays yourself, make sure to check out the full Cash Game World Championship series we did on the Mechanics of Poker podcast. Links in the description to parts 1, 2, and 3 down below. Subscribe now and turn notifications on so you will not miss the next video we will be dropping with Sherry Sweet.